We often think that wars are won with swords and shields, but one woman proved that grace can be the greatest weapon of all. While a man named Nabal allowed arrogance to invite destruction, a woman named Abigail used humility to stop a war before it began. And in doing so, she didn't just save lives, she protected the future destiny of a man who would one day become king. The story unfolds in the wilderness of ancient Israel. Before he became king, David was a fugitive, hunted relentlessly by Saul. David and his loyal men lived among the hills and deserts, surviving as best they could while avoiding the king's soldiers. Despite their hardships, David and his men upheld a code of honor. They protected local shepherds and farmers from raiders and bandits. In return, they hoped for kindness when the time of harvest came. One wealthy landowner benefited greatly from this protection. His name was Nabal. Nabal had thousands of sheep and goats, and during shearing season, a time of celebration and abundance, David sent messengers with a simple request, a small gift of food for the men who had safeguarded Nabal's flocks. It was a gesture of goodwill, but Nabal's response would ignite a crisis. One of Nabal's servants rushed to Abigail with the news. He explained how David's men had protected them in the wilderness, never harming them, never stealing from them. Now, David was coming with soldiers. Abigail immediately understood the danger. Her husband's pride had placed the entire household on the brink of destruction. But instead of arguing with Nabal, instead of waiting for disaster, Abigail acted. Quickly, she gathered an extraordinary gift: 200 loaves of bread, wine, roasted grain, raisins, fig cakes, enough food to feed David and his warriors. Without telling her husband, Abigail loaded the supplies onto donkeys and rode out to meet David herself, not with weapons, not with threats, but with humility. As Abigail approached the road, David and his men were already marching toward Nabal's estate. Anger burned within David, but when Abigail saw him, she did something unexpected. She got off her donkey and bowed to the ground before him. Then she spoke, calmly, respectfully, courageously. She took responsibility for the offense, even though it wasn't hers. She called her husband foolish and pleaded for mercy. But Abigail didn't just ask David to stop. She reminded him of who he truly was. She spoke of the future, of the kingdom God had promised him, and she warned that shedding innocent blood in anger would stain that destiny. Her words were gentle, but they were powerful because they spoke to David's conscience, to his calling, to the king he was meant to become. David listened, and slowly the anger faded. He realized Abigail had saved him from making a terrible mistake.
Praise the Lord!
Praise the Lord, David said, who sent you to meet me today. He thanked Abigail for her wisdom, and he called her blessed. That day, a war was stopped, not by force, but by grace. When Abigail returned home, Nabal was feasting and drunk.
Look at this feast. My wealth built this. I am the greatest.
Days later, after learning what had happened, he suffered a sudden shock and died. Soon afterward, David asked Abigail to become his wife. The woman who had prevented bloodshed would become part of Israel's royal story. Abigail's courage reminds us of something timeless. Strength is not always loud. Sometimes the greatest victories are won with wisdom, humility, and grace. Because one wise voice, spoken at the right moment, can stop a war.